In this section, we'll go over scenario analysis, and as usual, we'll go over what is scenario analysis, we'll discuss why it's important, and then we'll discuss how to use scenario analysis. So what is scenario analysis? Well, first off, it helps us answer a few questions, such as these. There are different ways to answer these, different formulas and ways to answer these questions, but generally, scenario analysis is allowing you to give a somewhat objective view of a project or a business, for example. With these analysis, you're going to need to answer a few different questions. Do you have the capital? This one seems fairly easy and straightforward. If an investment or a business idea is going to have an upfront cost of $1 million and you don't have access to that $1 million through debt or equity, then obviously it doesn't matter how good the return is or when you would get your investment back, you just can't do it because of the barrier of entry of not having enough capital. Next you have, is the return on this investment positive? Well, this positive return is based on, as we talked about in the time value of money, your discount rate. So that could be like your required return. If you normally invest and you get 10% back, if this investment is going to give you less than 10% back, it's probably not a good use of your money. You can, as you found through your past transactions, get 10%, so you should probably invest it somewhere else. And then also, when do you need this investment back? This could be an investment that looks great on the surface of it, but then you don't get your investment back for 10 years and you have a big purchase, either personally or through a business, in 5 years. Well, you're not going to get your investment back in time to make that purchase, so you can't take advantage of that. So these are just three different lenses that kind of are captured in this scenario analysis. These four equations right here really hit at the, is there a positive benefit to this investment? We'll use the net present value, which is the present value of all the future cash flows, which is that first section right here of the equation, and then it's subtracted from all the costs of that project. You'll notice this is the same equation that we used to do the time value of money, and that discount rate, like I said, is based on, it can be your expected return based on your previous investments. It can be for a company. It can be how much your company needs in return. We'll discuss later what's called WACC, which is your cost of capital for a company. And then you have your internal rate of return, which we actually don't use a specific equation. You can either use an Excel function or the calculator that we went over at the beginning of this section. Either way, it'll give you an internal rate of return. There's a profit index, which is the sum of the present value of the cash flows or benefits. So this part of this net present value equation is just on top of here. And then that is divided by the present value of the cost. So this part right here is in your denominator. And then you have payback period. So this is just regular payback period, not taking into consideration time value of money. There's also a discounted payback period, which would take into consideration and actually discount these future cash flows. This one is just saying if you have $10,000 invested into a project and you need that $10,000 back in, say, a year without discounting, you just need the $10,000, then this would be the equation that you would use. And like I said, there's a discounted one for if you want to discount it for the time value of money. Also, this equation is for constant cash flows. So if you're getting, say, $100 every month, if you have non-constant cash flows, so 1 month's 100, 1 month's 500, you don't know, like they're just projected out at different rates, then you'd actually just need to use a running total. So there's a relationship between net present value, internal rate of return, and profit index. So when your net present value is positive, so anything over 0, then your internal rate of return is going to be greater than your discount rate, and your profit index is going to be greater than 1, because those benefits that you're dividing by the cost are greater than the cost. And then as you work down, they're equal when IRR is equal to R, so your internal rate of return is equal to your discount rate. Your profit index is going to be 1, and your net present value is going to be 0, and so on. So why is this important? Well, it creates a somewhat objective measure of a project's benefits. I say somewhat objective because things like your discount rate, how much you're actually projecting those benefits to be, as these are all projections, correct, and how much you're projecting those costs to be, right? Those are slightly subjective. They can change depending on who's doing the calculations, but hopefully they're good assumptions, and so this is probably the most objective way in which you can look at projects' benefits or costs. And then ultimately, it helps you communicate the cost benefits of a project to other people within your organization. So when you're doing this, you don't need to understand just the costs and benefits. Most likely, you're going to have to communicate that to other people, and these help communicate that in a clear and concise way. So now we'll go into how to use scenario analysis. In this situation, you have a discount rate that is 10%, and you calculate an internal rate of return of 15%. What do you know about net present value and profit index? Well, first, we'll go with net present value. If the internal rate of return, or IRR, is greater than R, then we know our net present value is greater than 0. You're going to have a positive net present value. Next, you know that your profit index is greater than 1 because the sum total of those benefits is going to be greater than the sum total of the cost.
My name is Rick Haskell, and I'd like to thank you for watching this video as part of the Bill and Vieve Gore School of Business's Business Certificate Series. I'm a finance professor in the business school, where I'm also the director for the college's Center for Financial Wellness. The Business Certificate Series is offered through the Center as part of our outreach through the Gore School of Business. You can follow us on social media through Westminster's Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook pages. You can use the QR codes provided or simply go to these websites. Thank you.